Hey guys, it's Jocelyn Renee, your digital loctician. I'm going to be talking today about postpartum hair loss with Locs, and it is something that is not very widely talked about or even shown, but definitely happens. It's happened to me, it's happening to my clients, it's happening to my friends, family. So you're not alone if you're going through postpartum hair shedding. But I definitely want to talk more about it, what it is, what it looks like, how you can grow through it. This has been on my mind for a long time, but I just got a great question. So I want to read the question and also just get into it. My locks are going through changes in my postpartum period. My edges are gone and I've had to cut a few along the front because they were hanging on by a thread. My question is, what can I do to strengthen my hair? I've been using castor oil, just wondering any other products, shampoo, etc. I should be using. So thank you so much for that question and sharing a little bit of your postpartum journey with me or with us so that we can grow through it together. For those of you that may not know what postpartum shedding or postpartum alopecia, as it is properly termed, is the loss of hair postpartum or after you have a child, and it affects about 40% of women after childbirth, and it generally starts 4 months postpartum, with the most hair loss happening between 4 and 7 months. Around the 8 to 9 month postpartum time frame, you will begin to notice the regrowth. Usually, some people, the postpartum hair loss can last for up to a year before the hair starts growing back. And this is not to scare you, but to inform you about what can potentially happen. Postpartum alopecia is genetic, so there's really nothing you externally can do if it is in your DNA for your hair to shed like this after having a baby. I generally suggest that women talk with their moms if possible to find out if they lost their hair when they were pregnant with them or any of their other siblings, because it is an indicator of whether or not it will happen to them. Again, not anything that you have done personally. And I feel like it's such a cruel joke because we go through 9 months of carrying life, and our hair is usually thick and luxurious. We have this baby, we're bleeding excessively, we are nursing, we're trying to work, we're trying to take care of a household, etc., all the other things that moms do, and then you take my hair, take my edges specifically. But anyway, I digress. So when you are postpartum, one, you should be sure to still taking your prenatal, and ideally that prenatal should be plant-based. But again, any medicine, definitely check with your physician for clearance. I'm not a medical doctor, so your physician has to clear you for your prenatal, but it is suggested that you take it. Also, breastfeeding, great to balance out your hormones, things like that if you can. I found that with my son, who was my first pregnancy, I lost more hair. With my daughter, I also lost hair, but with her, I tried, and you guys may or may not remember that video, to encapsulate my placenta, which has, a lot of nourishments and vitamins that you need postpartum. So I lost less hair, and I feel like that helps. Maybe not, but just throwing that out there. Also in that question, she mentioned that she's using castor oil to help strengthen the hair. And what I want you to know about castor oil, I'll lead off and say I'm not really a fan, but if you are going to use castor oil, understand that castor oil, the reason why it's so heavily talked about in areas of hair loss is because it is anti-inflammatory, which inflammation and like traction alopecia typically go hand in hand, but postpartum alopecia and inflammation are not really the same thing. With postpartum alopecia, it's more of the phase that your hair growth is in and how it just stops and sheds. It's not because your scalp or your follicle is inflamed that's causing the hair loss. So I would not recommend using castor oil for regrowth or strength in particular for postpartum hair loss. That's me. You may find other people that do, and you know, that's their suggestion. What I find that works well, or what you should be focused on, is moisture. Having lots of moisture in your hair and in your locks, because when you have locks that are weighed down by either oil or product, they make it heavy. The hair is heavy on the follicle, the foundation, or the root of that lock. So if you have hair hanging by a thread, a couple strands, which I've been through, I know what you're talking about. You have a lock hanging on by strands at the root. Then you weigh it down with oil or product. You're just going to put stress here, which causes traction alopecia, and all along you only have postpartum alopecia. So I would say minimize products that are heavy or that can potentially cause product buildup. 2, I think is a great thing that you mentioned, that you cut off locks because they were hanging on by a thread. If you only have a couple of hairs, well, let me go back, let me show you. With postpartum alopecia, again, the hair is shedding. What do locks do? Locks are an accumulation of shed hair and actively growing hair. So once that hair begins to terminate or shed, generally, if your locks are cultivated, they will shed into the lock. And so you have a area at the root, which is really skinny because that's all the hair that's left. But then you have a bulge or an area of all the shed hair. Then you have the normal size or length of your lock. When you think about that, if you decide to let those few little strands hold on to the weight of that heavy lock, you're going to do more harm than good. So cutting it is often the best solution. Now, this is why I don't suggest people start locks when they're pregnant or right after they have a baby. You should wait at least a year. Because now in 2019, we've had it years before, but specifically in 2019, the crochet method of reattachment, it gives a seamless, strong reattachment of a lock if done properly. And so if you cut that lock, you can reattach it later. But think about what's going to happen if you have starter locks, and then let's say it takes 5 to 6 months for your hair to grow back just to fill in, but it takes another 6 months or so for you to have enough length for reattachment. So we're talking about at least a year since you cut that lock off. All your other hair is going to be more mature than that lock that you were going to reattach. If you have starter locks, because your locks were budding, they were still just starting, right? And so to reattach a starter lock to locks that are a year down the line, it's going to look different. So what you should do is just wait, okay? But long story short, solutions: making sure that you're getting enough moisture internally, so drinking a lot of water, 1, and then 2, making sure that you're doing your hydration treatments in a salon or investing in a steamer so that you can do hydration treatments at home is going to be essential to making sure your hair stays healthy enough through the postpartum phase. Also, be sure that you are thoroughly cleansing and or detoxing your locks every time you go through a shampoo process, and minimizing products that would lead to buildup or additional weight in the hair. And I also want to go back and just say congratulations, mama. Like, welcome to the sisterhood of motherhood. Don't be discouraged. And if any other mothers out there with locks have other solutions, or just want to share what your postpartum experience was like and how you made it through it, some words of encouragement are always great. And if you yourself are going through the postpartum hair loss, definitely share any other questions you may have. And if you're just looking for hair care for your locks, newgrowthacademy.com, and products that really work well for people with locks are at newgrowthessentials.com. One product in particular that I would suggest if you're postpartum is the Mane Abundance. It helps to stimulate hair growth. It's not going to make your hair grow, but it will stimulate hair growth and make sure your scalp is nourished, not inflamed, and that you're able to retain length as you make it through this process. So I hope this video was helpful, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.